Well, surprise, surprise. Isn't that interesting? YouTube made me delete my last video because of copyright issues. They said I copyrighted against my own music, my own audio that I pay every month for. So I'm going to go ahead and upload it again. I just wonder if all the 33s caught their attention. We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. And we are definitely going to go ahead and cover some crazy topics, look at some crazy news stories. For example, apparently, out of nowhere, just out of the blue, we have now 2 additional seasons. We're all aware of spring, summer, winter, fall, but thanks to you and I, there are now 2 additional seasons. And there are also other topics I do want to go ahead and get into, but before we go ahead and talk about that, I do want to talk about a video I made a couple days ago about the New York City shooting. Because there's something much bigger here than what they're telling us. The numerology, the connections become even more bizarre when you connect it to another news story. So by now, we should all be aware that this individual, Shane Tamora, he goes into an office building in New York City, he shoots up the office building, and then he ends his life on the 33rd floor of this building. One of the individuals who lost her life in this shooting was an executive for a company called Blackstone, and this person, they oversaw the assets of this company. Now, what has come out is that this individual, Shane Tamora, was a private security guard for a casino over in Las Vegas. On the exact same day as this shooting in New York City, there was another shooting in Nevada, and this shooting took place inside a casino where 3 people lost their lives and 3 people were injured. Once again, the number 33. The connections get even more bizarre, and this kind of shows that we're looking at one big ritual here, because Shane Tamora, he grew up in Southern California. Matter of fact, they said he played football, high school football, for Granada Hills. Don't know why that matters. It's very bizarre because when it came to Thomas Matthew Crooks, the individual they said shot up Trump's rally on July 13th, they kept talking about his high school, even though he was a full-grown man at the time that this took place. But whatever. Again, Shane Tamora was a private security guard for a casino over in Las Vegas, grew up in California, and he ended his life on the 33rd floor. But when it comes to the shooting that took place in Nevada, there were 2 men that were visiting from Southern California, and they were inside this casino when the shooting took place. These 2 men would end up losing their lives. These 2 men, both of them, were 33 years old. Now remember, there was a third person that also lost her life, and this third person just happened to be 66 years old. Can't make it up whatsoever. 2 people, 33 years old, losing their lives, 33 plus 33, 66. The executive who lost her life in this shooting, again, she oversaw the company's assets, and the company's assets are over $330 billion. I have never seen the number 33 repeat so much in one day, which makes me believe we're looking at a Free People Society ritual here or something much bigger. And not only that, but the very bizarre connection that the New York City shooter grew up in Southern California, became a private security guard for a casino in Las Vegas, and on that same exact day, we have 2 men from Southern California go to a casino in Las Vegas, and they end up losing their lives. And how the number 33 also ties these 2 stories together. It's just too coincidental to ignore. The CEO of Blackstone is this individual right here, Steven Schwarzman, who's sitting right next to a very interesting individual where they were raising money for a children's spring gala back in 2008. Now, I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm just finding the timing to be very interesting of everything else currently taking place. And now we have the executive who oversaw his company's assets losing their life in a very mysterious shooting with very mysterious numbers. This next video comes from the Fittest Flat Earther. Now, some people feel a certain way about this guy because he has certain beliefs of his own, but this video he made is very important, and it shows just how many times the number 33 has appeared in multiple news stories. Matter of fact, he even missed a few. Remember when, I think either the beginning of this year or the end of last year, we had a Rothschild who passed away in a house fire, and they said it took about 33 minutes to put out the fire. I mean, who says that? Usually they say about 30 minutes, around 30 minutes, around a half an hour, not around 33 minutes. Very telling. But check what he catches when it comes to the C-19. This is a very good video.
So there was a shooting last night where the NFL has some headquarters. And where was the victim taken out again? Oh, the 33rd floor. Interesting. Kind of like when there was a plane crash and they shut down runway 33.
I also do want to go ahead and interject here real quick. Let's also not forget the Air India plane crash, where the plane was in the air for only 33 seconds.
And how just the other day, NASA invites the media to SpaceX's 33rd resupply launch of the space station. And how the ex-officer who was sentenced in Brianna's death was sentenced to 33 months, and Stephen Colbert shows The Late Show will end after 33 years. And Gaza Health Ministry says 33 people died from malnutrition the past 48 hours.
Talking about the Middle East, remember when they released the hostages in phases? In phase one, they released exactly 33 hostages.
Oh, and the U.S. measles cases just happened to hit the highest number ever in the past 33 years. And let's not forget this.
33 confirmed positive cases in Arkansas.
Today we have 33 confirmed cases with Boston residents.
We have 33 Pennsylvanians.
There were 33 confirmed cases in North Carolina.
There are now 33 confirmed cases
today in San Luis Obispo County, bringing the total number now to 33.
33 new cases.
There are now 33 cases in Louisiana.
A total of 33 people in our state.
Bringing the total number to 33.
Rhode Island jumps by 33 overnight.
Worst trading day in 33 years.
Right now, actually, to 33 deaths.
There are now 33 confirmed cases.
New cases of Zika virus, bringing the total number of cases to 33.
The deaths right now globally, over 33,000.
That's not enough for you, though. You want to see how they mock you.
That part was crazy to me. I thought the craziest part was how they said the Air India was up in the skies for 33 seconds. But no, the C-19 having multiple cases across multiple states, having exactly 33 cases. The number 33, of course, is the highest number one can achieve when they become a Freemason. Now, there are secret degrees, draconian degrees, but for the most part, when it comes to the public anyway, 33 is the number. This is where they learn more of the teachings of Albert Pike. They become enlightened to who they believe is the one true God, the Luciferian gospel. They believe that one true God being Lucifer. The 33 also represents the 1/3 of the angels that were casted from heaven. There is more that can be said and more that can be broken down, like the connections to the Kabbalistic teachings, but I'll save that for another bigger video. They are showing us who runs the show, who runs these news stories, and a lot of these news stories are just fake, are just distractions. Or if they are real, they are not playing out how they actually played out. Like probably what we're seeing in the case of New York with this New York shooting. News and media wants us to believe that a man who is almost 30, who held down a full-time job as a security guard, had a gun license, had a issue with CTE back when he played football in high school. So he drove across state. So he drove across to the other side of the country to New York to target the NFL building, but the person that happened to lose their life was the CEO of a major company, Blackstone, was the executive of Blackstone, whose CEO has connections to certain people. These news stories are becoming more and more outrageous and unbelievable, and we are being flooded with them, and we have to shift through them to see what makes sense and why it makes sense and try to connect the dots. And when you call these stories out as not making sense, and then you see a certain organization's calling card, the number 33 all over the story, you're still a kooky, crazy conspiracy theorist. And as AI progresses, it's only going to get worse. And who knows how long they've had this powerful AI for. We, as the public, only have access to this AI just very recently. But the so-called powers that be may have had access to this and been using this for decades upon decades upon decades. Who knows what we've seen on TV that was a very big event, a horrible event, that may have been fake. Or again, even if it's not fake, it may not have played out like the way we have seen on TV. You never know. What happened over in New York is a lot bigger than people believe, because if they can feed us these fake stories, feed us these news stories that make no sense whatsoever, or news stories that happen in ways that are different than we believe, stories that happen in ways that are different than news and media are presenting us, then what's that say to much bigger news stories that are coming in the future? Like, take for example, this whole alien stuff they're trying to make us believe, these hostile aliens, or Apophis. It seems like the so-called powers that be are constantly testing the intelligence of the public to see what they can make us believe. And again, this will all play into much bigger news stories that may encompass the entire world. I'm not going to go ahead and stay too much longer on this topic. I will include another segment towards the end of this video, someone else's video that shows that what happened in New York and Shane Tamura might be AI. But I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, include that towards the end of this video. So I had covered a story about the Grand Canyon. Apparently a quote-unquote massive wildfire had broken out inside the Grand Canyon, all thanks to what they're saying anyway, was a lightning strike that happened on July 4th. Now, on that exact same day, the fire, it was controlled and contained, yet now they're saying that due to dry and windy conditions, the fire just exploded. This massive wildfire had a very unique and telling name. It was called the Bravo Dragon Wildfire, or the Dragon Bravo Fire. The Grand Canyon has nothing to do with dragons, so where did they get the name from? Again, very telling. But this fire, it had destroyed a historical site, a bunch of history, a bunch of relics. We also can't forget the many animals that also lost their lives, and I do believe there are Native American tribes that also reside either inside or around the Grand Canyon. So needless to say, this Dragon Bravo fire has destroyed a lot inside this canyon. Now, like I said, the fire started on July 4th, and as of today, there is only 4% containment. This fire is still raging. Reading this article from AZ Central, on July 30th, the Dragon Bravo fire exploded to 94,228 acres burned, with containment further reduced to just 4%. Before they thought they had it at 9%, and then it went down to 4%. I do believe as of right now, there are over 100,000 acres burned, so whatever was in the historical section, structures and so forth, are absolutely gone. We do know there are a lot of mysteries that surround the Grand Canyon. They kind of treat it like Antarctica. There are certain areas inside the Grand Canyon that are designated as no-fly zones. You cannot fly over, and you cannot visit these certain locations. Not just that, but the canyon is also rich in uranium. Mining there would threaten the people, the waters, the wildlife, and so forth, and if none of those exist there, now the mining can go ahead and commence. Kind of makes you wonder why they're not using these certain companies to go ahead and cloud seed the clouds over the Grand Canyon to help combat these fires and make it rain. But I guess you don't want to put out fires that you started. But talking about wildfires, in this next segment, Earth apparently has 2 new seasons, and they are saying that it is not good news for our planet. Reading this article from WION News, which was published on July 29th, this article goes on to say Earth no longer has 4 seasons, with human activity adding 2 new ones to the annual cycle, scientists have asserted. Now, when they go ahead and blame human activity, are they going to go ahead and talk about how they are spraying Satan in the skies? Are they going to go ahead and talk about these chemicals they are spraying all over the atmosphere? More than likely not. Or how about that news story I covered a couple days ago where they are admitting to, over the course of 12 years, if not longer than that, they are spraying things into the clouds to make them more reflective so they can go ahead and dim the sunlight. More than likely, we're not going to hear about that in this article, but continue to read the article. It says, these are the haze season and trash season, which have ruined the ecological system and threaten to wreak more havoc in the coming years. The strange new occurrences also mean they are causing an adverse effect on public health. Of course they are, marine life, and basically the entire rhythm of our planet. The trash season, which occurs from December to March in countries like Indonesia, especially Bali, the Philippines, and Thailand, this is because of a shift in monsoon winds, which cause ocean currents to carry huge volumes of plastic waste to the beaches. The mounds of garbage are massive and have become so common that locals now know exactly when they will start appearing. A similar trash season also occurs along the United States East Coast, where the Gulf Stream pushes debris floating in the ocean towards Florida and the Carolinas. The haze season begins in June and runs through September. The toxic cloud of smoke travels to Singapore, Thailand, and other countries beyond them. Researchers say that beyond Southeast Asia and India, the hazy skies will also blanket the United States, mainly the Northeast. Here in the United States, we have seen a lot of orange hazy skies. Matter of fact, the skies have been so hazy that the sun has been looking very bizarre. And now they are saying that this is going to now be a regular season. Matter of fact, even more interesting, reading the same article, the regular seasons in certain locations are now going to go ahead and start disappearing. Continue to read the article. It says, season placements have also changed and some traditional seasons have also vanished, the researcher said. Regions like the Andes and the Rocky Mountains lack snow, which makes them host the winter sports. Seabirds are also not returning to Northeast England to breed at their usual times. And remember what I said in a previous video, the birds are acting very bizarre. More and more people are noticing that they are chirping at all certain hours. When they should be asleep, they're out there chirping at night. Now, like I pointed out in that video, I'm fully aware there are birds that chirp at night, like certain mockingbirds and owls. But I'm talking about birds, and I pointed out birds that you hear during the day are also chirping during the night. Their rhythms are screwed up. Then there are arrhythmic changes, which means that spring and summer seasons have shifted out of sync, with one coming early and others stretching longer than its usual span. And again, it's something we also noticed. In some places where it should be very hot in June, it's snowing. Researchers are also coming out and saying that the days are getting much shorter. And again, this is not just something from driving around in certain cars or cow farts and farmland, and they want to go ahead and now blame corn sweat. This is not just that. I mean, what are the adverse effects of spraying things like Satan in the skies? What are the adverse effects of spraying things into the clouds to go ahead and dim the sun? I mean, what are the adverse effects of dimming the sunlight on the planet, a natural resource we all need? These people are very, very evil, and they are terraforming the planet for something while they go ahead and hide in their underground bunkers. To the point now that we are all noticing they had to come out and give us some BS explanation of these new seasons, and now we're going to start noticing that the older seasons we're all familiar with are going to go ahead and start fading away in certain locations, to the point, I guess, they fade away altogether. I mean, how much geoengineering, solar geoengineering are they going to go ahead and do, which they are now admitting to more and more, especially now that we have news articles coming out that they are doing it in secret as well. How much will there be until we start noticing these very dramatic changes? And while they're terraforming the planet, introducing these new seasons and things like that, we have to remember how it greatly impacts the farmland, the crops, the wildlife, the animals that we eat, and again, the nutrients that we go ahead and take in. And at the same exact time, while all this is happening, this will go right into another segment when it comes to jobs. In the day and age of AI, more and more companies are letting people go. Matter of fact, my company very recently did something what is known as a VRSP, or a voluntary resignation, where if you go ahead and voluntarily resign, they'll go ahead and increase your severance and give you certain benefits. It's basically a sign that the company is about to do a massive layoff. So basically nobody is safe, and surprisingly not even truckers. About a month ago, I made a video where I spoke about a news story where certain companies are now introducing autonomous trucks that drive themselves. And one of those companies happened to be UPS. And apparently UPS is another one of those companies that will be adopting that VRSP model.
Some jobs and close dozens of facilities.
And that's a wrap, Jack. UPS is offering buyouts to drivers for the first time in 117 years. And you can thank tech and AI for that one.
If you have 5 years of service, you're going to receive $1,800 per year of service as the buyout.
They're going to get rid of 22,000 of you. Regardless of what you say, the union is not going to be able to do anything. Are your skills transferable?
They are getting autonomous vehicles ready, even at UPS.
UPS has begun testing autonomous electric shifters. So this is what the shifters actually look like. UPS have said the shifters will be driven first, and later on this year will be tested autonomously as well.
Then you say, what about the loaders, though? We need the truck loaders. Who's going to load the trucks? On this side, these are these autonomous, you can see them, they're loaders. They're just autonomously loading. The other guy's a forklifter. It takes him 50 minutes to load with a forklift. It takes these autonomous little robots 6 minutes. So you just back up to the loading dock. This whole entire tray just pushes the whole entire load in. This takes about 5 minutes, and then it just pulls back out and the truck goes off. They already have the setup for all of it.
I mean, let's be honest. What did they think was really going to happen when it comes to UPS after that union deal? Because after that union deal went through, at the end of 5 years, union drivers will average, or did average, around $170,000 a year combined in salary and benefits. But if you really break it down, it's pretty much $100,000 a year salary plus $70,000 in benefits. But at the end of the day, robots, autonomous things really don't need benefits. I mean, if they found any way to make something autonomous, whether it's the trucks, whether it's even the loaders and so forth, these jobs were definitely the first to go. And remember what Bill Gates ominously said, within 10 years, AI will replace many doctors and teachers. Humans won't be needed for most things. Basically saying humans are useless. On top of this, now they have these robots roaming throughout society in different locations, basically becoming accommodated.
This week I showed you guys those robots that are all over Austin. They're just walking around freely. Well, that was just the beginning. Now I have a compilation of them all over the United States. See, people are just getting used to it.
What up, what up? In the streets, they call me Riz Bob. Yo, nephew, them black braids, you rocking her cold as you getting that hard player status. And that short beard and mustache, that's just solid, my homie. You got...
I mean, this is exactly like the experiment. You like it, you think it's cute, and you rather defend this thing, then eventually you're homie. Most people, they don't get compliments. They never hear anything good about them. So then these robots, they're going to do it. And then another human's going to say something bad. And you're going to be like, no, bro, I'd rather stay with my robot. Here's the Rizbot again, just walking down the road.
We are in the future officially, bro.
And here's a guy just walking down in the projects in Detroit. This ain't the Rizbot. This is a different one. He's out here walking on the streets, I think, in Chinatown. And this guy's just running from the police. This is just the beginning. Imagine if there's like 10 of them out there.
They're about whatever, cuz.
And this guy's just out here on the streets. And this guy's out here on the Santa Barbara pier just walking. And this guy's out here, he's got shorts on. He's just out there walking along. Now they're just walking each other. Welcome to Wonderland.
I like that.
In an ideal world, something like this could definitely complement humanity, but unfortunately, we do not live in an ideal world. We already see the ramifications of AI in our everyday lives, where we don't even know what's real, what's fake when it comes to news stories, how it's impacting the job market. So something like this would not be ideal whatsoever. Even more so when we have these tech giants calling humans useless in the face of this robotic uprising. This next interesting video comes from Itty Bitty Terror 2.
Listen up. Microsoft will delete your passwords in August 2025. They're doing this to push users to more secure passkeys. The article goes on to say beginning this month, Microsoft Authenticator will no longer support autofill password functionality. The most significant change will occur in August 2025, when all your saved passwords will become inaccessible. Users will be required to utilize passkeys, which include authentication methods such as pins, fingertips, or facial recognition. For the ones not asleep, we already knew this was coming. Nokia president, CEO, and WEF member Pekka Lundmark said that by 2030, our smartphones would be directly in our bodies. Nokia also has plans to use humans as antennas to power 6G. Watch this and you'll see this is what they want.
2030, I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual, kind of the most common interface. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out where we're headed with all this. It's heading to biometrics, which will eventually lead to AI and machines being integrated, which is called transhumanism. Everyone needs to wake up and see where we're at on the prophetic timeline. This is literally the beast system being set up. Every country right now is implementing this in some kind of way. If you do not know Jesus, it is time. The Bible says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that he died on the cross for your sins, you will be saved. Don't wait until it's too late.
This great video comes from ALMC Forever, where she pretty much breaks down how this whole video, how this whole narrative is basically
fake. If you search
fake.
on Google for Shane Tamura, this image saturates the results.
Police say the suspect was Shane Tamura. Here's a look at him.
That video aired on Fox News about 4 hours after the first 911 calls are logged. His facial features are soft around the edges, while the jersey lines are crisp. The edges around his shoulders and his collarbones are inconsistent. This is common in AI upscaling. The field and the stadium behind him look flat. They lack depth and the natural behaviour of light. There's no shadows. The image did not come from his school, where he played high school football 10 years ago. This is supposed to have been 2015, but they didn't get it off his friends or his family or his community. The image was sourced by Reuters from IB Times Singapore edition. This is a syndicate producing photographs for the media. It has not been verified against his yearbook or any of the team archives. A task for somebody this morning. Tamura only ever played high school football, not college, not professional, and he would have graduated high school in 2015. He's a 5'7", 140-pound man. He's undersized and he would have taken hits, but it's far below the typical levels or exposure associated with severe CTE. There's also zero evidence in the 10 years since he stopped playing football that he ever presented medically for treatment for this issue. A photo circulating immediately of him in his teenage football year is a red flag. The only reason we link him at all with football is because of this supposed note, which has not been authenticated. It is the NYPD who released this note. There has been no handwriting analysis and no comparison to Tamura's official health documentation. He carried a gun permit. He had employment files. Without verifying this, anybody could have written it. And they said Luigi had a note too. This note fits way too perfectly with this NFL story. It mentions all the expected names and uses lawsuit-friendly language. Uses lawsuit-friendly language. Knowingly concealed dangers. This was a security guard from Las Vegas who's supposed to have had a head injury, yet he is writing in his note that they knowingly concealed dangers. It's also written on self-help stationery. Are you trying to tell me that a man took an M4 rifle and drive across the country and then writes his note on a pastel motivational notepad? That feels slightly out of place. It's a small thing to notice, but it makes it visually distinctive. The soft colours and printed phrasing make this an eye-catching and emotionally manipulative prop, especially when media outlets can display this emotive line of "study my brain, I'm sorry," in this almost like childlike writing. If this man had guns, he signed something somewhere. Where is the handwriting analysis? The goal of this note is obvious to me because it was designed with photography in mind. It's supposed to look intense. Everything referenced so far about this case and this man and his motives has come from the NYPD. No scans, photos, or forensic evidence has been released. No handwriting analysis has been done. If Tamura's actions can be blamed on a high school footballer who has CTE, then the story changes. Documented mental health issues is being repeated verbatim across all of the Western mainstream media. They are trying to reinforce to you the image of an unstable man. In other high-profile cases, like Luigi Mangione, convenient notes found in backpacks were used to present a tidy narrative. Brain damage and mental illness are easy targets, and the NFL is a big, familiar target. Readers understand these things without needing any context, which distracts from the far more politically dangerous angle that he just killed one of the most powerful housing fund CEOs in America. I asked AI to bring me back some facts about this person, and one of the first things that it returned is that he had a 600 rushing yard and 5 touchdowns. How the fuck? In his high school, in 2015, and that is at the top of Google. This man has apparently had no social media footprint whatsoever. A 27-year-old man has no public photos, except for this. No independent reviews. Had he no friends? Had he no teammates? No co-workers? The media is saturated with the NYPD narrative and secondhand quotes. And AI footage. Where's his family? The lack of social and personal images creates a vacuum where the media is able to plant just 2 images, one of him playing football and this CCTV image, from the shooting, and that is what's defining him. And that's very convenient. It leaves for no competing context. No pictures of him working as a security guard in a casino in Las Vegas. No evidence of his economic situation. No context of his life outside of this incident. That image adds no facts to this case because that man has not played football in over a decade. It's more important to talk about the fact that he had a job in surveillance at a casino. People don't need to instruct Google to hide Blackstone. They simply flood the media with the same images and words, which is exactly what's happening here. I can tell you this is manufactured consent without reading a shred of evidence about Shane because I know how the media behaves. After the shooting, Mayor Eric Adams and the NYPD seed this story that Tamura was targeting the NFL. They fabricate a note and a video. None of it has been authenticated. The full text hasn't even been released. But already that single story is controlling the narrative. And AP and Reuters moved within hours. And every single news outlet is running the same talking points. They couldn't even run it through a generator to change small dog to puppy. It is verbatim from the NYPD. Because hundreds of sites use the same wire text and the same images, Google's ranking system locks it in. It's authority, volume, and speed that push that narrative up. So now when you search for this person, you don't see 27-year-old casino worker in economic hardship. You see football player, even though he hasn't played football in over a decade. And there wasn't a single mention anywhere of any kind of a grievance with the NFL before this note. This is how narrative control works. It's an ecosystem that amplifies whatever the wire says, whatever the official story says first. What the NYPD put out is taken as final. Like they haven't been caught in a century of lying their off. Come on. And yet people still believe them. My next video, I'm going to talk about Blackstone and KPMG, who are also in that building.
But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.